All right, it is now 6 p.m., January 4th, 2016. I'd like to open the Newfane Selectboard meeting, call it to order. One change we have to the agenda is under new business will be the telephone system for the town office, which is not working properly at this time. Do we have any other changes to the agenda? Hearing none, we do not. So, welcome to the public, BCTV, board members. Shall we get started? Minutes of December 21st, 2015. Looking for somebody to make a motion.
Make a motion to accept the minutes from December 21st.
Motion's been made and seconded by Mike to approve the December 21st, 2015 minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read them? Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstaining? I'm abstaining because I was not here. Next, we were supposed to have road foreman's report, but the road foreman didn't do it. Shame on me. I can tell you that the last storm that we had was very hard on not only the trucks, but the guys in the trucks because the ground wasn't frozen and trying to plow. Plus, we had an employee that was out for medical reasons. We actually ended up hiring Fitzpatrick Excavating to help us plow the roads off the South Wharton Road, keep them open. That worked out very well. We did have several complaints, of which I went and checked, and we did plow and sand a little bit more for those people. But otherwise, overall, the guys did a really good job not damaging the trucks. It was a pretty tough storm to try to plow. Does anybody have any questions about road foreman or road commissioner's report that's not here? Hearing none, scheduled members of the public. Merle Tessier, floodplain administrator. The floor is yours.
I thought you were asking me to come.
We did, so you can tell us all about it.
Yeah. The big problem I have is the flood elevation level. The maps are somewhat deficient in that area. So I have to use the state's map that they have the floodplains delineated. So I bring up, print them, and some of the properties are kind of on the edge. But because the house shows being in the 100-year floodplain, I have to say it's in the flood hazard area.
Is this something we should, as a board, get together with FEMA? Because I think when reappraisal comes, all these houses that they've put in the floodplain now, it's gonna cost this town a lot of money in taxes, so it's gonna cost the taxpayers a lot of money, because they're gonna have to devaluate these properties.
Yeah, well, the ratepayers will pay a lot more if we don't adhere to this policy. They will take the town off of the list of approved floodplain. So I'm finding myself in this kind of gray area where somebody's right on the edge. What they have to do now is apply to FEMA and contest it. And I just last week got the results on the first one, and she won.
Because there's been quite a few people that didn't even know that they were in the floodplain, from what I've been told. They go to sell their house and it comes up at the closing and people walk out and say no.
I do have a list if people want to.
Could we have a copy of that list?
Sure.
There's quite a few though, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
which is gonna devaluate people's property, which means taxes are gonna go up for everybody else because their properties have been devaluated.
Could well be.
Merle, when you say they won, what does one mean?
Pardon?
When you say that the individual that appealed to FEMA, they're no longer in the floodplain?
Not, well, the FEMA, they worded it very carefully. That they granted the variance to her this time, but when they come through to readjust all the maps, she might find herself back in the floodplain.
Potentially.
It's, yeah, it's kind of like, okay, we'll let you have this, but when we finish our work, you may have to give it back. So it's kind of...
I'm just curious as what's gonna happen for reappraisal.
Pardon?
I'm a little bit worried about what's gonna happen for reappraisal. Because it's gotta devaluate people's properties, there's,
It does affect it, yeah. But I don't have any real choice here.
I know you don't, I'm just saying that, I'm wondering if the town should appeal it as a, depending on how many there are, have the
Yeah.
town sit down with FEMA and appeal it as the
Right.
town.
You can do that.
Probably the next time we have a flood, they decide not to pay us at all. There's gotta be some way around this, like, maybe what we should do is get a hold of Emily Long, have her
You
do
could-
something with it.
You can approach FEMA and just try to ask for a blanket exemption, but they're not gonna grant it.
Right.
They changed the whole basis of this floodplain insurance. Now that it has to be actuarially sound, but before the taxpayers in general paid for it. So now, we're coming down to the real world.
So wait, so you're saying that people whose houses are in the floodplain, and the house right now is assessed or at a certain price, right?
Mhm.
Appraised at a certain price. But now that the floodplain issue has come up and there are people who cannot sell their houses because of that, because buyers do not want to, because a buyer has a reason not to buy a house that's in the floodplain. Some people would, but a lot of people won't, because they're going to have to pay a lot of insurance, flood insurance, if they have a mortgage. If they don't have a mortgage, they don't have to pay flood insurance. But so now, when next year's taxes come up, and people now are aware of the fact that their homes are in the floodplain, they're going to be fighting to get their appraisals lowered so that the taxes can be lowered. Now, what I'm understanding from you, is you're saying then FEMA will just walk away if this happens, and
The individual property owners won't be able to get flood insurance.
See, the other problem we have is one of your biggest tax bases for Newfane, which is right over here.
Mhm.
He's thinking about moving if he doesn't get this straightened out.
I can blame them.
So,
If you
I mean,
find
if he
your
moves out of town for some reason, then Newfane loses that. That's a huge tax base.
What do you want me to do?
It's not you. I'm just saying that it's,
What do you want me to do?
right.
Well, I think what I would like to see us do is to basically get a hold of FEMA and have some type of clarification on this whole issue.
Shannon's worked with a bunch of people for FEMA. I don't know if there's anybody in Montpelier that we could talk to, or whether we should start with Emily Long and see if she can get us somewhere.
Well, the problem with FEMA, which Shannon and I found out, is they rotate their representatives around.
So often.
That's
you know,
right.
And what one representative says when he is rotated,
Right.
the next one comes in and has a completely different set of plans.
That's right.
It's typical federal government doesn't know what they're doing. And that's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. And we dealt with it and it was terrible.
Merle, can you, when you say, what do we want you to do?
Yeah.
Since I'm relatively new to the select board and this whole issue, can you explain a little bit about what responsibilities, if any, a zoning commissioner has in regards to floodplain issues? Perhaps you don't have any, or perhaps you have some that I have no idea.
Yes, my responsibilities are basically not to issue a permit unless the people can give me a certification from a civil engineer that that building is flood-proof, which means elevating the building and whatever else they have, they blow-out panels. And I can't issue a permit without violating that law. And we had a nice red barn up by the motel. He wanted to put that barn out in the middle of the field. But that whole section there is floodplain. So we went around about 3 months discussing it. And he finally built it 6 inches off of the
from road.
floodplain.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
So, I would love to see the barn out in the field,
Mhm.
but there's no way.
Even this building, there's some question whether it's in floodplain or not right now. That's one of the things that they're working on. If we renovate it, is it a smart move or not? Because if it's in floodplain, it's not too smart to be renovating something like that.
So I still need some clarity. So a person who lives in the floodplain now and is trying to sell their house either now or next year, are they going to be able to get answers from you as the zoning commissioner, or do they need to go elsewhere? Because you're saying that,
To get a variance, you have to get a variance from FEMA.
right,
And the property that you saw me about is right smack in the middle. So it's a no-brainer. You know, I
right smack
cannot,
in the middle of what?
huh?
Right smack in the middle of what?
Of the flood zone. You know, you have the red area,
Uh-huh.
they're right in the middle. They couldn't be any closer to the center of it than they are.
Mhm.
So I can't do anything for them.
Mhm.
They could apply to FEMA and say that, well, we've lived here for 20 years and it's never flooded yet.
Mhm.
And you may find somebody who's sympathetic. But,
I guess the next step for us to do, maybe it's up to the board, is to have Shannon get a hold either, like I said, unless you guys do something else, Emily Long or representative or, and somebody from FEMA that can explain to us if we have this reappraisal coming up, what's this gonna do for us?
I'll see if I can find somebody.
How much of a loss are we gonna have tax-wise that we're gonna have to make up for it?
Right.
This reappraisal starting what? After July?
Yeah,
Somewhere after July 1st, it won't be done for a year,
they're
but
actually here now, starting up,
I
so.
think it's starting today.
did they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were here this morning.
So,
Yeah, then-
we should have some answers to some of this stuff.
Mhm.
Anybody got anything else from Merle? Or Merle got
Yeah.
anything for us?
I've got a little problem, and it ended up on my desk today. Solar panels. There's nothing in our zoning that covers the photovoltaic cells. The only thing I could find was in the town plan, there's like one sentence. It says, we encourage the installation of photovoltaic panels, period. But there's no bylaw that gives me any guidance. So what I'm working on is if it's a roof mount, which this one I have is, I'll grant it. Because it's not a new structure, it's just mounted on an existing structure. And what I have to do is, when the permit gets posted, there's a 15-day waiting period. If somebody has issue with it, then they have a chance to appeal it before anything happens. The ground mount, if it's above 15,000 watts, the state has jurisdiction. It's similar to the cell towers. We don't have a lot to say. But the smaller ones, under 15,000, local zoning can cover it, but we don't have anything. So I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place on this one.
Maybe get a hold of the planning commission and
I
now
can
that they're
try and-
redoing the town plan, it'd be a good time for them to either add or subtract or whatever to
Yeah,
that.
the problem there is if we go that route, you know what the process is.
Takes a year.
It could take 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And that's a problem because I'm getting more calls. What's your policy on photovoltaic installations? And I said, well, we don't really have any.
Well, the planning commission is one of the ones that first needs to be contacted because they have that responsibility, don't they? And then they write it and we take a look at it and then we approve it or disapprove it or modify it.
That goes in front of the town and everything, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Right.
So it's a long process.
it is.
So we can either have the town plan revised or the select board can propose an ordinance.
But isn't an ordinance also part of the plan?
Now, Merle, are you speaking about
It would have to be a special hearing.
solar arrays
Voted on by the
for
public.
personal use?
Yeah.
But
It's under
why would the town want to regulate that? What what's the purpose of that? I mean, I understand if somebody's producing electricity to sell more than their use, that's a different issue, and I think the state addresses that additional production of electricity can increase your property value and assessment.
Definitely.
But if it's just for your own personal use, what in the world would we be
That's right.
against, or not against, but why would we want to make it harder than it is?
This is
Something,
Vermont.
Well, I understand that, but just because it's Vermont, it doesn't have to be crazy
right.
all
well,
the
I can
time.
see a
If
problem
somebody-
with somebody putting it right on the top of, right there in your property line,
Yeah.
and the neighbor doesn't wanna see it,
Well, there is a 25-foot buffer.
That's
but
right.
not on zoning panels, because there's nothing in
Read the
there.
paper.
They're not zoning
Oh,
panels, but
okay,
solar panels.
well, that would be something that might want to look in.
You could classify as a structure or something like that, so it get covered in zoning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That way it would meet all our other setbacks that we have in place.
Yeah.
And that would be a simple thing for the select board to do at some
Yeah.
point.
The other
Just
thing
consider it a
could
structure
be-
for now.
We could regulate screening, so it doesn't show from the road or whatever.
Yeah. But I can see people being upset if all of a sudden they've got these solar panels right on top of their property line.
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah, that's the point I made to the guy from the solar company. That they have to maintain the proper setbacks.
Is this something you can check with some of the other towns around to see what they're doing?
I haven't checked with them yet, but I
Can you
can.
call some of the other towns like Dover, Dummerston, Townsend,
Dover.
Townsend?
come back to us and what you, if they have anything in their zoning, so it might help us a little bit?
Okay.
Because I mean, it seems simple to me to just create that it's a structure and then it has to meet everything else, but they may have something better.
does Townsend have, I don't think Townsend has zoning, isn't
No,
Townsend
no.
like Brookline?
Yeah, they don't know zoning.
They don't have zoning.
No.
They have
Townsend,
nothing.
neither Townsend nor Brookline have zoning.
Right.
Right.
So you'd have to check around with Dummerston,
Yeah.
Brattleboro, whatever.
Dummerston has a lot of solar development.
But you're only speaking now of solar panels that are on the ground and not on somebody's roof, right?
Correct.
If you put it on your roof,
Put it on
there's
the
no
roof.
problem.
We'll
Right.
treat it as roof maintenance,
Right, okay.
because it's no new structure involved.
Mhm.
If you do a little research on that, come back to Shannon with it, then we can,
But it's been difficult.
what's that?
I called the state, we've been playing telephone tag for 3 weeks.
Well,
They don't understand that, you know, a small town, you're not there 40 hours a week.
how about just calling the zoning administrator in Dummerston, in,
Well, just check around a few towns,
yeah,
see what's,
Dover,
Brattleboro.
Marlboro, so, surrounding towns, and just, ask them what they're doing about that,
Mhm.
and then bring it back to us.
Well, in my driving through Dummerston, I've seen them,
right,
so I know they must allow it somehow.
right, they may do a simple thing like we were just talking,
That's it.
consider it a structure. And
I know they have a lot of solar development there in that town.
anything else for us, or we pretty much discouraged you? So Shannon, if you wanna put that on,
Yep.
keep putting it on the agenda until we do something with it. That and the, getting together with Emily or somebody.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary.
Okay, next on the agenda is Sebeds, and I see they're here.
Should we stand or just stay here?
Do whatever you wanna do.
Okay. I'll introduce myself again. I saw you earlier this summer. My name's Adam Gnoll, the Executive Director of the Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation. We're handing out some paperwork for you. I will first give the overview again of who BDCC is and who Sevens is, because it is often a question that select boards and members of the audience have for us. So the BDCC is an RDC, which is a Regional Development Corporation. Our sister organization is the Wyndham Regional Commission. We're not affiliated, but we each represent the state in their efforts to have assistance here for planning and zoning questions, which is Wyndham Regional. And then we are the Regional Development Corporation to provide assistance to the state to be the eyes, ears, and feet on the ground for economic development. As such, we work with the Agency of Commerce and Community Development. Many of the things you mentioned today, we hear from many other communities, so be happy to provide some follow-up in some of the conversations you were having about the FEMA, the flood, and also the solar. It's a big concern across the region, what it'll do to impact the values of properties that have them, and how it can also contribute to the economy. So the difference, or what SEVIDS is SEVIDS is a grassroots regional organization that is tasked with the underlying economic conditions of the region, really looking to study and understand what is driving the economy in southern Vermont. It was one of the first organizations to alert the region to the impending demographic challenges that we'd face about 7 years ago. Of course, we're all now very familiar with that, being the aging of Vermont and rural America at large. So we have today with us, we have R.T. Brown, who is our project manager for the Windham County Economic Development Program, otherwise known as the Entergy Funds. We have Alex Beck, who's here as the Education and Workforce Development Specialist. Come on in on camera, she might do a smile. And then we have Chris Mihalik, who's here today as the SEVIDS project manager. So I'm going to stop talking and turn it over to these folks, and thank you in advance for your time.
Hi, as Adam said, my name is R.T. Brown. I guess I'll come up here a little bit, make it easier. R.T. Brown, I'm the project manager of the Windham County Economic Development Program. From my perspective, the Windham County Economic Development Program is one of the tools to help us address some of the objectives that Adam was just referencing. It's a program that's been put into place to help fuel economic development, and it's specifically focused on Windham County. The program takes two forms actually. One is very low interest loans at 2%. So if a project qualifies for the program, a business can use it for working capital or real estate or equipment purchases to expand their business and in the end create more jobs. It's also the second form is for nonprofits in the form of a competitive grant. So if there's a nonprofit that is focused on the issues related to economic development, the best example I can come up with is something like a business accelerator or incubator or something like that. So the focus of that nonprofit is economic development, not just, I don't know, making widgets or something. The focus has to be economic development. So those are the two forms of the program. I would love to reach out to any companies that might be in your town who are thinking about expansion, trying to explore different ways to access capital for that expansion. So my contact information is on the back of that document that I provided to you. Please feel free to reach out to those companies on my behalf, or just point them my way, reach out to me, and I'll make the connection. I'd love to have a chat with them. Yeah.
Have you, in the last year or two, actually helped any businesses or startups or businesses in Newfane wishing to expand that you helped steer them to low interest loans?
I haven't. The program is new. It's been around for about a year?
Effectively a year, yes.
Right.
I'm sorry?
The first loan was issued 1 year ago, and then there was about a 5-month period where there was no activity during the transitional period in the organization and within the state. So RT joined us in August and has met with 30 businesses in the last couple of months and is really just starting off.
Yeah.
Was that loan for a startup or an expansion?
It was for a startup, and I'll let RT, he's very intimate with that. He can tell you a bit about it.
Sure. It's a great local story. The company is called Ironwood. It's a builder in Brattleboro.
And he's in Brattleboro?
He's based in Brattleboro. This is it's a startup venture that's sort of an extension of his existing business. And Another example, we're working with a few startups, tech-based startups, who are interested in coming to the area. They haven't settled on a location yet, but that's another example of the fund. So it's a good vehicle for a startup if it meets the project requirements, program's requirements.
Definitely not limited to Brattleboro. You're
Right.
currently working with
Absolutely.
several businesses who are in the stages of applying from around Wyndham County. It is, as a part of the agreement, the MOU that was signed with the Agency of Commerce and the governor and Entergy does limit it to Wyndham County, but it is definitely countywide.
Okay, countywide, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Would it be possible to get a list of some of the companies that
Sure.
you're working with?
Sure, I can send that to you.
Appreciate it.
I don't know if we could share the ones that you're working with. The ones that have applied, we can.
Sure, because that's
So the
public
ones that are
information.
considering it's not really public until they've actually applied. Once they've applied, it becomes public.
I mean, I'm thinking in terms of references is where I was going.
Oh, absolutely, sure. I can follow up with that information.
Hi everyone. As Adam stated, my name is Kristen Mihalik and I am the SEVIDS project manager. I'm going to discuss just briefly the materials that you have in front of you. This packet here is our 2016 work plan, and inside the packet you will also see and read more about our goals and our objectives for 2016, so feel free to read that. And the one sheet that you have is our workforce map. And Alex Beck is actually going to come up and speak more in detail about the map and some of our successful internship programs, the young professionals, and a few other things as well.
So this is the universe of workforce development that we're kind of working with. And I always like to look at this very bottom line. This blue line really reflects the continuum of workforce development and the way we really perceive cultivating our young people so that they can be employed locally, retaining the people who come to Wyndham County for a variety of reasons, making sure they stay, and then supporting those who have already decided to stay but may not really know how much longer they want to be here. So we have 3 different programs that we're running right now. The first of which is in the high schools. Every month I meet with all of the career counselors, and we really talk about what are the trends that we see in terms of career paths. Are our young people being exposed to the job opportunities that actually exist in Wyndham County? Or on the flip side, are our young people being told that, you can be anything you want to be when you grow up, which is true, but you can't do that and be employed in Wyndham County. They aren't hiring very many astronauts out of BUHS, that I know of. And, but that's just a silly example I use, but to make sure that what our young people are being taught is it mirrors a local economy. So if they choose to stay, they're prepared to. The second program we run is in a collaborative internship program. So this internship program is available to any collegiate student, so anyone who's been enrolled in a collegiate course in the last 18 months. And the internships are only in Wyndham County, and they're all paid. So anyone from anywhere can, as long as you're a student, can access these internships, but we only place the students in Wyndham County with paid internships. As of now, we've placed just over 50 interns, and we have a 20% hire-on rate. And I think that's largely because they're all paid. So the young people show up with the right attitude, the right expectations in terms of responsibility, and they know what a good day of work feels like and get paid for it, which is actually a problem that some of our young people face when they enter the workforce and they don't understand any of the expectations of them. So that's been a really successful program, and we're always looking for other local businesses that have workforce development needs to use this as a vehicle to fill them. It's a 3-month internship is a really good way for an employer to hedge their bets on a hire, to really say, can we expand with a new person, or will this person be a right fit? And so you can really test an employee out in a shorter term, and we found that this actually is really beneficial for employers. They say, this person's right for us, and they make a good hire, after the internship, rather than hiring someone outright and realizing after a few months they have to fire them because it didn't work out. That 3 month gives them a buffer zone. And then lastly, I help run the Young Professionals Group. And so that's a county-wide organization that is there to retain and support young professionals. We define young and professional very loosely. We don't envision us being any sort of from any industry or sector specifically. We have a lot of people saying, well, I'm a farmer, am I a professional? I work at the fire department. Regardless of where you work or if you work, if you're a young person between the ages, we say, of 21 and 45, our programs are always open to you. And it's social and professional networking. So if you have friends and no job, you're going to leave the county. And if you have a job and no friends, you're also going to leave the county. So we try and provide both. I provided you with a calendar of the events that we have through April, I believe. And a good example of what we've done in the past is have an event at the new brewery, Hermit Thrush. It's run by a bunch of young guys. And rather than talk about beer, which I'm sure we all would have, preferred a little bit, we had them talk about what was it like being young entrepreneurs, picking up from another state and picking, Windham County where you want to start your business. We host events all over Windham County. You'll see we really try and make it everywhere, and we've had people invite us, and the answer is always sure. We do one event a month, so if there's any ideas in terms of, either new young professionals who might want to join from Newfane, or businesses or venues that want to host a young professionals event, we always appreciate that kind of support, and the young professionals appreciate that kind of support. Coming in February, I believe it's the 22nd, we have a gala which is open to everyone. We try and have at least 27th, yep. So we try and have a few events a year that are for the entire community, where everyone can come out and say we value our young people, and we're here to support them. So this summer we did a film fest. Over 125 people showed up of all ages, but all of the films were local and produced by young professionals. So that was really exciting. And those are just three of the workforce development programs we've been working on, and to really have a continuum that really, if you're between the ages of 14 and 45, there's something going on to point our young people in the right direction in terms of employment and connection to the community.
I'm really impressed with your focus with career counselors at the high school level. Do you actually assist them in finding internships and work projects for their students, or you said you had 50 you had 50 interns? Yep, so the interns are actually only collegiate students, so they have to be post-high school. Okay.
But coming in the fall, we'll be starting a career awareness program in our high schools. So one of the biggest problems that our young people are facing right now is they don't actually know that there are jobs in Windham County. It's really unfortunate that we have people graduating high school and college, young people saying, there are no jobs here, I gotta leave. And at the very same time, we have employers saying, we don't have enough employees to fill the slots. So what the programming looks like and what we do with the guidance counselors is saying, let's take a field trip, let's go see what it looks like to work in Windham County, what jobs are available, so that starting their freshman, sophomore year of high school, they can start thinking about career path. And not just, when they're graduating college, all of a sudden they realize, oh man, I need to start thinking about a job, and they may have majored in something that isn't relevant to this local economy. So to really give the young people who know they want to stay, who love living here, the opportunity to plan their careers and plan their educations so that they can stay here. And it all bleeds into the internship program. So ideally we'd have a young person graduating from one of our regional high schools and then going to CCV or VTC and getting the degree that they want, or some of the other 6 colleges we work with in the area, becoming an intern, finding that place in the area that they want, and sticking. And then, of course, joining the young professionals at the end. So really having that stepwise motion.
Do you have fairs in different communities at times when you say that there are jobs available in the communities in Windsor,
So-
Wyndham County that do you promote that the kids, the high schools and the colleges can get the word out to the students that there's a fair going on and
Yep. So
school,
yeah, so I was really involved with the most recent Career Expo that was held in the BUHS gym. I believe it was in October. But I also go to all the individual colleges in the area and talk with them and the high schools. So and one of the major things I talk about there is SevEds did a hiring inventory a couple years ago. So we've done research in our communities, met with some of our biggest employers and said, what kind of jobs will you be hiring in the next 5 years? So we can say, we have 3 major hospitals, Grace Cottage, BMH, and the Retreat. So we know that there's going to be certain hiring demands. We have a fantastic advanced manufacturing industry in Southern Vermont, and to know what kind of jobs they're hiring. So when there are career fairs or when there's that opportunity to engage, we kind of know who we're going to be inviting. These are the local businesses that are looking now, and so we bring them into either the colleges or the high schools and have them actively recruit there. But again, have the students go to the places of employment and to say, this is what it actually looks like to be a precision manufacturer. Some of our, I made the joke about that we aren't hiring astronauts, but there are manufacturers who are making stuff that are in space right now. So that it's not a hard sell to get young people engaged in the local economy and have them realize whatever dreams or aspirations they had from a young age.
And one of the things I think we've really identified is that there's the gap. I have a 13-year-old son who he himself and his peers, they of course don't really understand the economy and the potential jobs that are in Wyndham County. But more surprising to me and to I think our organization as we get out and talk about this is the parents don't understand that. And if they do understand that there's a manufacturing job, they think of the manufacturing of 25, 30 years ago. And they don't understand that it's computer driven, it's clean, you're not coming home with shards of metal. This is a career where with 1 or 2 more math classes in high school, you could take a dual enrollment your senior year, take 1 year of community college, and leave that as a 19-year-old earning $50,000 in Wyndham County. And there will be a line of employers trying to hire you. And that message is not getting out. And that's really what we're out there trying to let everyone know is that if we can fill that gap between the businesses, the schools, and the home, and let people know that there are opportunities for their children to stay here, that we can retain our population and we can grow the economy.
Okay.
A question, now, how are you funded?
It's a great question, a lot of ways. So this program is funded, the internship program is funded by the Department of Labor. We each year have to compete for funds based on performance, so we have very clear metrics that we have to report. Then the RDC, which is the BDCC, all the regional development corporations receive about $100,000 a year to implement the state contract that we all have. For many RDCs, that's a large portion of their budget. The BDCC is fortunate, and the mission is fortunate that over the years, the organization has become the buyer of last resort, and we now have some rental properties that produce an income that allow the mission to go beyond just filling the space and supporting the work and initiatives of SevEds and expanding BDCC's initiative, which is to grow and promote and retain businesses. Lastly, we have federal grants that we receive. We have to compete with on an annual basis. And at all times we try to leverage, if there's state money, we try to leverage it for more federal money. And I think we're getting pretty good at that and learning a lot more. So the more we can learn, our mission is just to turn that back into the county. Everything is Wyndham County, and it's to help businesses grow jobs.
Do the businesses who hire or give the opportunity for internships get any incentives funding. So because they're going to be training the children, not the children, the teenagers or the college students.
They do not, but what they get and what we're finding with the 20% higher rate is what they're getting is an access to some really great local talent. And that's why there's local talent. That's why there's a 20% higher rate is these employers are saying, wow, you're great, you're hired. I'm keeping you, I'm not letting you go. So that's, we believe, is one of the reasons for that success. Lastly, on the funding bit, the SEVIDS, as I think you're aware, goes to the municipalities and requests a per capita income. So for the SEVIDS mission, which one of them is workforce development, is going to the municipalities and asking for support for that funding.
Now, do most of the, or I guess I know, we've never appropriated tax money for SEVIDS. I guess in the county, how many of the towns in Windham County do? And if we were bringing this to the taxpayer, how, I mean, you presented it to us, but what benefit, I mean, you're giving us a big picture of the benefit to it, but what direct benefit would funding, appropriating taxpayer money for SEVIDS benefit Newfane?
That's right.
Newfane particularly.
Sure. So right now, and it's hard to speak to a municipality, but for the residents, it's a little easier. So we have an intern, I think, with W&W.
Yep.
So we've placed an intern there. There are members of our board who reside in Newfane, so perhaps they would come and speak to that if it were to get to the town meeting. Several of the concerns I heard brought up earlier in the meeting, I think we could, while we don't have an engagement policy with the municipality for help on that, we have resources that we could certainly help you find. And we're really looking for new ways to be able to engage with the municipalities to bring some of our experience that we hear in other towns to you. We're not going to try, we don't represent that we can do the hard work that you're doing, but at least we can share communications that we've heard from others.
Because that was one of the objections we had previous years to appropriating money for SEVIDS, was we didn't have anybody at town meeting to pitch it to the taxpayer. If that is something that you could make happen, I think you might have a little bit better opportunity of getting somewhere.
Great. Well, we would enjoy that.
We are planning on that. We are petitioning here in Newfane, and we do plan on attending town meeting as well.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Very nice presentation. Appreciate it.
All right, unscheduled members of the public, that'd be you. No unscheduled members of the public, that's old business, town office building. Do we have a report from the town office committee?
We haven't met since last time,
So we're gonna,
Over the holiday, we didn't meet.
no discussion, I should book there.
Shannon, any
Thanks.
update from David Cotton on? Because I know he said for the first of the year we have.
Still the
Well, I know it's only the
first
first.
dish.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I think we're still waiting to have another meeting to go over the
Yeah.
floodplain issue and a few other loose ends. Pretty much that's where we are.
I don't know where the phone system is gonna come into effect. You wanna do
Sounds
that?
good.
Do that now? Shannon did talk to us before about, it's for the people that are watching this. If the phone system here at the town office building is not functioning properly, you dial the number that you're supposed to talk to the town clerk and you get administrative assistant, the zoning administrator can't get any voicemails anymore, and if you wanna get a hold of the treasurer, you have to dial something else and it's not working well, so, what I guess we need from the board is authorization for Shannon to go ahead and get some, at least 3 bids on a new phone system for the town so that we get this working. What is the board's pleasure on such a thing?
I'll make a motion that we do that.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to authorize Shannon to go ahead and put out 3 bids for the phone system at the town office building. Is there any other discussion?
Just to make sure that when we do get those bids, we get specifics, that exactly what phones, how many, what they're doing, you know, so that we can actually see what they're bidding on.
Anybody else?
Did they vacuum?
I wish. Hearing none, other than vacuuming, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstaining, the ayes have it. Unfinished business, FEMA closeouts, no update. Personnel policy, no update. Correspondence, do we have any?
It's in the box.
Can you get that for me,
I do have a question.
please? Just one, I hope.
It is
It's been a
one.
long day.
It's one question. Are we meeting on Monday, the 18th
Yes.
for select board in the
Yes.
evening, even though it's a holiday? Is
Correct.
that correct? Okay.
Are we meeting Thursday of this week for a budget meeting?
Okay, we're meeting Thursday at 6
Are we?
PM.
I'm asking.
Oh, that's fine.
I most likely am not going to be there. And you said something about, Dennis, that you would probably be late.
I'll probably be about 15 minutes late on Thursday.
Actually, there's no after school this week, so.
There is none. Oh, then it's fine with me. I may have a problem with the 19th because we may be going away.
No, the 18th.
Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we may be going away that,
Oh,
and
the
I may
whole-
not be back. But
What is the board's pleasure on Thursday night?
I can make it if you want it. It's up to you.
We
I'll
have,
make my third night meeting this week, so if you didn't want to, it'd be okay.
It's up to you.
but we need to get this done.
Right. And I suppose, you know, I mean, I'd like to be there, but it's not necessary.
What are our options if we don't do it Thursday night?
anything next week? Be better for you?
What's next
Anything
Monday?
next week would actually be better.
Want
Monday
to try it
night.
Monday night?
I
5 to
like Monday
7?
nights.
Monday? I'm
You
good.
guys want to do 5 or you
Yeah,
want to do, you
what
probably
day
can't
is
get out of
that?
5 though, right? Want to do it 6?
I can get out anytime.
Is that the 11th?
Yes, it would be the
Yes.
11th. Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Why don't we try that then? You want to do 5:30 to 7:30, so we get this thing done?
Sure.
5:30 to 7:30.
And
We
I'll
get-
have, I thought I could have social security in that set, but if you haven't really decided on elected, then I guess I can't do that.
Yeah, we do need to do that, for sure.
It could be one of the first things we get done, so you can,
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's the first thing to do.
anything else you need to update? You can just, you've been plugging in those places that people are putting in requests now?
Yeah, those are all done.
All right.
Can I just bring something up about the elected? Because it might be appropriate if we were gonna put that back on, back in the town report, this would probably be where we would wanna do it. It does sound like it would be better, for the mentioned reason that Mike mentioned, that we do show those two salaries.
Well, they have to be shown in the budget,
No, but I mean to vote on them separately.
but the
because-
auditors don't want us to do that. So every time we do that and they don't want us to, we get findings in the audit because we did it the way they didn't want us to. So my inclination is to always listen to the auditors, but you can do it
Let's
that way.
talk about this at the meeting.
Why don't we think about it and bring it back up
Yeah,
Yeah,
at that meeting and then,
I mean, it's a big concern, because if,
right.
we may not want to start a new town clerk at the same thing that a 10-year town clerk, you know.
that's right.
right. That's why I said not to put it in there
Yeah.
as an article.
Oh, not to put it in there. or something
Right.
for that.
Right.
Because if the town votes to pay $36,000 to the town clerk, they're voting to pay that to whatever town clerk comes in.
Oh, I see, okay, I
Yeah.
misunderstood you on that, okay,
Yeah.
no, that makes sense then.
Okay,
Maybe
so.
something we should get
I'm
into.
Is that
I
what you were
just want to
talking
make
about?
sure that we're not
Policies, right?
talking and not discussing something that wasn't warned for this meeting, that's all.
Yeah, well,
Sorry, as long as you don't make a decision, it's okay.
Okay, so next Monday,
Monday, the
January
11th.
11th, is budget meeting from 5:30 to
5:30.
7:30.
Mhm.
On Monday, January 18th, we're having select board meeting
6
at
o'clock.
6 PM. Okay,
Do we want to have a budget meeting, like we did, a budget meeting for an hour on top of that?
oh, good.
Let's see how we do.
Okay.
We do have some correspondence that Marion has graciously
Oh,
volunteered to
I'm
read.
so happy.
Thank you.
You know, you've made my day.
Oh,
Okay.
good. If that's all it takes, that's a wonderful thing.
Okay, this is dated December 21st, 2015 to Newfane Selectboard. Read. Green Mountain Power and Fairpoint pole numbers 8 to 9 on Baker Brook Road. Billy Joe from GMP and Stephanie from Fairpoint made a site visit regarding these poles that sit directly at the edge of the road. We were in agreement that it would be more advantageous to move the poles back further from the road, which would alleviate, number one, the danger for anyone who travels the road of a blind curve. Number two, the destruction of a resident's property due to people driving into our yard to avoid these poles.
Wow.
This would be a perfect time to make this road improvement due to the fact that one of these poles is temporary and due to be removed with wires being changed to permanent poles. Therefore, 2 improvements could be done at one time with no cost to the town. Billy Joe said she discussed the situation with Todd Lawley and was waiting to hear back from him. Signed, Nancy A. Reese, R-Y-S-S, in Williamsville, Vermont.
What road is that on?
Baker Brook.
Baker Brook.
Oh, yeah, Baker Brook, okay.
They want to move the poles back, I don't have any problem with it. That would be up to a Green Mountain Power thing, that's not really up to the town.
Yeah, they own the poles.
Okay.
She can
Then-
tell, I mean, I don't even know if we need to put any correspondence back to her, but that's a Green Mountain Power issue, not a, and the farther back the poles are, the better I like it for plowing, so.
Did she say that she did contact Green Mountain Power?
Yeah, she's been working, that's who she's talking about with Billy Joe, she goes out and looks at stuff like that, so.
Oh,
Okay, the next letter is from WRB Thrives, West River Valley Thrives Organization. Dear Newfane Selectboard members, my name is Kristen Cox, and I would like to introduce myself as the new program director of West River Valley Thrives. If you are not already familiar with Thrives, we're a substance abuse prevention coalition that serves the towns of Wyndham Central Supervisory Union. We provide ongoing education and support to youth and families and work to promote health and wellness in our West River Valley communities. I have enclosed a packet of information about West River Valley Thrives with details on some of our projects and programs. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me with any questions regarding the coalition or with any suggestions as far as what we can do to support our towns to prevent substance abuse. I would also be happy to schedule a time to meet to give you an update on some of our current projects. Thank you so much for taking the time to read through our packet. Feel free to contact me with any questions or comments. Sincerely, Kristen Cox, Program Director.
There's a package right here, if anybody wants to read it, I'll put that letter in with it. I think that's it. The only other thing we have is a training on town meeting tune-up that Gloria put here. I don't know if she's planning on going to it or, but it's there.
yeah, I got this in the mail. I'm sure
Yeah, I
you
did
guys
too.
probably got this in the mail too. I read through it and it seems mostly for people who are actually running the meeting.
Right. We also got a VLCT news. I don't know if you guys get that or not, but that's there if anybody wants to read it as well. That is the only correspondence we have. Carol's gonna take the packet home or read it up on it.
Actually, Kristen has an office here in Newfane. It's on Route 30.
All right, we're down to pay orders.
Oh.
BCTV, thank you very much.